Hello, welcome to Gallery 1's Art2GO kit watercoloring sea turtle project. I'm Amy Davison and this is Haley, and she's going to be my little helper today in helping me teach you guys how to make a watercolor sea turtle using watercolor pencils. Today's our kit, let's start with what materials come in your kit. You're going to find 5 sheets of watercolor paper. They are Strathmore watercolor papers in a cold press, if you wanted to buy more of these. You have a 12-pack set of watercolor color pencils, and these are Crayola brand watercolor pencils. You will have a mini golf pencil or a large pencil, depending on which kit you got, which session. And you also will have a white eraser for the end of your pencil. This will not smudge as much as a regular pink eraser would. Cool, yep. You have a small round tip brush. Let me get a little closer to you, a round tip brush. You have a flat tipped brush. Let me see. You also have a pocket size sketchbook. Now, unless you're tuning in from a different part of the world and country than Ellensburg, you probably don't have sea turtles in your backyard. So you can go look outside and maybe you'll be lucky and find a red ear slider if you're around Ellensburg. Or maybe you'll have to look on the internet and look for some sea turtle sources. In here, I would like you guys to try and do some doodles and drawings of sea turtles or regular turtles, or maybe even change this project and make it into a frog or something else you can find in your own backyard. But we're going to do a sea turtle because I just felt beachy today.
And we're going to the beach in 2 weeks.
And we want to go to the beach soon. And then we also have a little zip pencil bag for all of your supplies to stay in nice and tidy before and after this project. So those are what comes in your kit. If you want to, you could also use a little bit of painter's tape or masking tape to hold your paper down to a clipboard or your surface. If you tape your watercolor paper down, it's not going to wrinkle as much. When the water starts to dry, the fibers will start to curl up a little in there. So if you tape it down, it will stay flatter better. However, because we are doing it in this space and I want to be able to move it so you can see what I am doing, I want you to be able to see what I am doing. So I'm not going to tape mine down. It does mean mine will wrinkle a little bit towards the end of my project. So I'm going to let it start to dry until it only feels cool to the touch. At that point, I'm going to stack some very heavy art books or cookbooks or something on top of it so that it will flatten out before the fibers totally dry up. Yeah, I guess that is all. So I'm going to switch over to my other camera mode here, and you'll be able to see my hands drawing. And I will maybe switch back and forth a few times so you can see my face, but for the most part, you will going to see the project from an aerial view. So here's my hands, hi. Our first step in this project is going to be drawing our turtle's shape, Haley. Now, in your pamphlet that came with your Art2GO kit, you'll see the starting steps of a turtle like this. This is going to be kind of the shape we need. If you need to print out a picture of a turtle, if you're not confident in your drawing skills, you can cover the back of this paper really heavy with scribbles from your graphite pencil and then trace to make a turtle on there. But I'm just going to show you guys how to draw this as we go today. First things first, let's make sure my camera's working. There we go. Let's draw the turtle's shell. Okay, Haley? Let's start kind of down in this region of our paper. And we're going to draw a little slightly curved line. That's for the shell that goes around his neck. Want me to help you a little bit? Then we're going to make this little, the overall turtle's shell shape, if you guys can see, is kind of like a flower petal. So I'm going to make this have a little bit of a hump because this is where his flipper will come out. And then I'm going to curve it and come up to where his tail is. Make your line kind of soft. Draw really, really light with your pencil so that you can erase it without digging in. I'm going to draw a little darker than I want you guys to, just so it shows up on the camera. Because right now I can tell that it's a little bit blown out and a little bit hard to see. So I'm going to draw extra heavy for you guys. Okay, here, let me darken my lines a little because of that.
Well, maybe you could do the outlines of it.
Yeah, give it a good shot and then I'll help you, okay? So make it, I'll do it real light and then you can swoop it. Okay, so this is going to be our general petal shape, okay? And then once you have that shape, here's kind of where his tail is going to end up. So we're going to come just a little dip. It almost looks like a little hill. It comes back around. And then we're going to go in a nice, big, swoopy line with just a little bit of a curve coming back in here for where his other flipper will come out of. Good job. Here's Haley's. Next, we are going to draw the curve of the front flipper, the flipper that's closest to us. And not totally connecting to the other line, but kind of close. You're going to come up and go like this. Yep, from about here to about here. Can you connect that? See, I made little lines for dots for Haley for her to connect. Great job. Now we're going to go right here to the turtle's armpit. I wonder if he's ticklish. And we're going to go one little line. And then we're going to do some little kind of ripples here and do a slightly wavy line before we meet the end of his flipper. Yep, just connect that line. Good job. It does. I think it looks wonderful. Plus, when we paint it, it's going to be even prettier. Remember, this outline is just your first steps, okay? I'm going to switch views for a second. Okay, so, oops, wrong camera view. You guys, I have cameras set up everywhere. It's really disorientating. You guys, don't get discouraged as we work on this project, okay? The pencil drawing is just the very beginning, and then we're going to be adding a lot of color around it. And remember, you do have an eraser. So if you need to, you can erase those lines and make them lighter. If you've pushed really hard, you might not be able to erase them totally, but the layers of watercolor pencil that we build up will help camouflage that and still end up with a beautiful finished project. I do like the flipper. Good job. Let me shift back to the aerial view. There we go. Now we're going to draw the turtle's head and his neck, okay? So I'm going to make just a little bit of a curve right here, a soft U. Yes. And then I'm going to pick my pencil up and I'm going to come up to this point here on the shell by his neck right here. I'm going to go tiny bit of a dip, and then I'm going to come back around for his head. And this is going to be the top portion of our turtle's head. So I'm going to make a little bit of a bump right there. And then I'm going to come back with another little line that's going to be his lower jaw. You see how I did that? Yeah, good job. You need a little bit of help? Okay, don't get discouraged. I would just erase that line. I'm going to move it here so that we can see. So I helped Haley erase the line right here. We're just going to connect there, and we're going to make him have a lower jaw right there. Now we do our other flipper. And we're going to draw right here, Haley, starting at this point again. We're going to go up and away from the turtle. Yeah, good job. We're going to make a little bit of an end. And then we're gently going to make some soft little wiggles all the way back down. Now,
this slipper looks little more than this one.
That's okay if it looks littler, Haley. It actually should. If you look at mine, this one in back does look a little bit smaller than this one.
Like it actually is more swimming.
Right, like it's swimming, and this fin down at the bottom of the page is closest to it. So that's called perspective. So this one is going to be a little bigger than this other fin. Now back here, we're going to draw a funny little lump shape because turtles, this particular type of turtle doesn't have as big of flippers on the back of its body. The front ones are much longer. So this back foot and leg.
So about,
yeah, that looks great. That's about perfect. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then we're going to add a little bloop right here. And this is his other foot. We don't get to see hardly any of this one because it's on the lower edge of the shell, okay? And then a tiny triangle comes out for his tail.
That doesn't really look right.
I think this will be great. We could even do this if you wanted to turn this into the shell. You want to do that?
Oh.
You want to turn this in the shell and this could be his tail? Or do you want to just put a tail here?
I want this to be the tail.
Okay, then let's just round this off and make that the shell. See? So Haley's has a tail right here, a flipper, and the shell.
You made yours darker than the one from my photo.
Sorry, I'm pushing hard on mine so that we can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, next step we need to do is we need to add an eye. So I'm going to draw kind of sort of a rounded shape here with a little bit of an eyelid. Mm-hmm. You don't feel confident in that? Okay.
Not good at making eyes.
We have a turtle eye. Now we get to draw in some of the shape on its shell. So what we're going to do is we are going to kind of lightly draw a border, and it's going to be a little bit bigger on this side than it is on the back side because the turtle's shell starts to curve away from us. So can you see how that line is a little bit broader up here and a little bit skinnier back here? Don't make moaning sounds, please. Be positive. Okay, yep, keep going around there. And then once you have that shape in there, you're going to go and kind of make them into more segmented pieces like this. And they're going to be a little more, not exactly jagged, but they're not perfect shapes on a turtle shell, as those different little plates start to form and become a solid shell. Okay. Haley wants a little bit of help. I am going kind of fast so that my video is not super duper long. So if you guys want to, if you guys need to take your time and slow this project down a little bit, you're welcome to hit pause and then come back when you've caught up with a step. I'm going a little fast. So now, Haley, now that you have that, you're just gonna segment these off like this, okay? You are good at that. Just make some lines going around. I'm gonna put one more right here. Okay, and then we're gonna do this. We're gonna turn this into a kind of a hexagon shape right here. This particular turtle has these shapes, Haley, that are kind of like a soccer ball. Okay, you see how I'm making these little kind of hexagons all the way up his body. They're not, do 6-sided things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I should angle that more. 4, 5, 6. Okay. Some of them have a few more. I'm using a click eraser because I only have the one pencil end here at home, but it's the same kind of white eraser. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Makes shapes going like that down the back of his spine. Or where, I don't know if turtles have a spine. Oh, I should have looked that up. But we're gonna go down their body like that, down the shell. And then once you're down the shell, you keep connecting the spaces. It doesn't have to be perfect. They can even be squares if you want to do squares down it, or triangles or some other shape, okay? And if you wanted, you don't even have to do it geometric, you guys. If you really wanted, you could do swirls and flowers on the back of this turtle shell and make him a totally groovy turtle, okay? He could be a beach turtle with flowers and hibiscuses.
More tortoise then.
Oh, maybe it would be more of a tortoise that way. Good idea. I like tortoises too. Haley, do you know the difference between a tortoise and a turtle?
Yes, tortoises go on land, and turtles go in the water.
You're right. A turtle needs a lot more time in the water, and a tortoise needs very little. A tortoise will get most of its
water from the plants it eats.
Correct. The tortoise gets the water from the plants it eats, and the turtle needs a body of water to be in. Okay, as Haley keeps working on her shell, I'm going to move ahead to the next step a little bit, and she can catch up when she's ready. How about you do a different design then, than a hexagon?
No.
See how I did that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so once you guys have a design on the back of your tortoise's shell, be it geometric hexagons or other shapes, mine kind of turned into something else that's just a little bit like a mosaic. You're going to take your light blue pencil and you're going to, this is a watercolor pencil. So these are really fun. As you color, it's just like a pencil, like a colored pencil. But then when you come in here and add some water to it, I just outlined my turtle softly with the pencil. And then because I don't want it to be real abrupt, I am going to make a few big strokes out here like this, Haley. See what I'm doing?
Oh, this is cool.
You guys can make it be more up and down and jagged. If you do more of a chevron shape, which is kind of like triangles up and down, it'll look like your water is much more choppy and wavy up above, like it's windy, or a boat just went above this sea turtle.
That probably won't be good for the sea turtle.
So I just did this. This is going to be my ocean, okay? But because oceans aren't just one solid depth of blue, they have a few different shades in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look in my color pencils and I'm going to find the one that says blue. There is also one that says violet, and they almost look the same. If you guys can see this, they're very similar shade of color, both over the camera and in person, until you start coloring with them. I'll show you on the back of my paper real quick. This one is the blue, and this one is the violet. They're very close. So what you could honestly do is take just a little bit of this dark blue, and I'm just gonna work it in a few places around my turtle. Okay, Haley, me? Just like this. I'm gonna put a little bit extra down here in case there's a shadow moving from here and down. Although shadows in water are a little bit tricky. They don't work quite like shadows on land. So there's gonna be a little bit of dark up here. Just a little bit, just a few squiggles with my pencil. And if you wanted, you could even go in with that violet and add just a hint of purple here and there too if you want. If it was a turtle closer to the sandy shore or it was a really shallow area,
it would definitely be more light blue.
You could do lighter blue. You could even work a tiny bit of green in there, or you could work a little bit of yellow in through here too.
Ooh, you should put on some seaweed as if it was close to the surface or down by the top.
You can totally, before you do this color over here, you could sketch in some little fish, draw some fish in here, or like Haley just suggested, some seaweed through here. That would be pretty cool. Should we put a little bit of seaweed in this picture? If you guys are following the pamphlet along, the pamphlet does not have seaweed because I did not have that suggestion when I did it. I made the pamphlet instructions before this video. Okay, so here's a little bit of seaweed off of Haley's suggestion. And I am going to put in a little bit of green. It's going to be a little bit trickier now that I already have some blue there. But I'll put my green here. And then we'll come in and color that in a little bit. And I'll put just a little bit of dark green also so that I have some various shades. Okay, so now that you have that outlined drawn in, it just looks like a coloring. It doesn't look like a painting. I'm gonna switch views so you guys can see me one more time. So you guys can see that right now, it just looks like a colored pencil drawing. It doesn't show up and look like a painting yet. But I want it to look like a painting because we're underwater, and I think that's a great technique for this. So what we're going to do, you're going to need a glass of water. I forgot to say this in the very beginning. You will need to get a cup of water. So if you didn't already do that, pause the video right now and run grab a glass of water that is one that you can dip in. And then you guys also have your paper towel by you for blotting your pencil, your paintbrushes, not your pencils. Well, I take that back. We might do a fancy technique and also blot our pencils. Okay, let's go back to our view from above.
I added some sand.
You added, oh, Haley added sand. I'm going to be starting out with my flatter brush. I'm going to dip it in my water, not super wet. I'm going to tap a little of that off because I was not paying attention. I'm going to start right here by the shell. I'm going to wiggle until that paint starts to soften up and get hydrated. And then I'm going to pull it out this way. Again, I'm going to go by this little foot. I'm going to wiggle it until it starts to soften. And then I'm going to blend it outward.
Oh, you already started. I did not know this.
I already started. Haley was drawing a crab. If you heard her counting. She was counting crab legs.
Oh, silly.
Here, I'm going to put it over here. See? There's a cute little red crab at the bottom and some sand. Wiggle this and go outward. Try your best not to go inside the line where your turtle is. You don't want to cover him up with a bunch of blue. But if a little bit of blue gets there, it's going to be okay.
What's going on my brush and now my sand?
Oops. Yep, you have to be careful that if you have a lot of extra details like the crab or sand or anything, not to bump into it too much or it will bleed. But you know what, Haley? Because it's underwater, the way that water and light bends, it would kind of look a little like that anyways. Did you know that?
No.
They're not going to be perfect crisp lines when you're underwater. It picks up some of the other colors around it. See, I'm going to let some of my green kind of smear out here. And if you get too much color on your brush, dip it in the water and wipe your brush off and then re-dip it. Then you can kind of come through here and you can work away some of the bits if you don't want it. If you get a huge puddle, you can blot it like this, but you will pull pigment off. So depending on if you want that to happen or not.
I think it's staining my brush.
It might stain your brush a little bit, but when we're all done, we'll take our brushes to a sink and wash them really, really well so that our brushes can be used time and time again, okay? if you take care of your paintbrushes can last you for many, many projects and sometimes many, many years. I'm gonna go in here. You guys do not need to go as fast as I am. I have experience doing this. So if you need to, you are welcome to pause the video, paint at your own speed and comfort so that you do a beautiful job, and then resume the video when you need to, okay? Same goes if you need to go get a snack or something, just pause and come on back. Don't let your paintbrush get too soggy. You don't want your paper to warp too much, and you want to be able to move on to the next step fairly soon. So being a little bit light-handed with the water on this project is a good idea.
I might want to color that in a little.
If you need to, you can color in a little more. If your paper is damp, you're going to get a dark stroke.
I think that's going to be okay because that's kind of natural.
Okay. Oh.
I'm having a hard time getting the blue this meal.
The blue? I'm going to add just a little bit of blue on this side of my seaweed because I feel like it kind of cut off a little funny. So I just added a little bit there. I'm going to come in and soften that with a little more blue to balance it a little more. If there are a few little puddles on your page where the water is, it's going to dry and have a really cool water look, which is fantastic for where we are. Okay, so our next step with our turtle, if you have your paper very soggy, you might want to take a few minutes to either lightly blow dry this with a blow dryer. With some parental help, don't use it on super hot because you don't want to like
somehow melt the paper.
Melt or burn your paper, yeah. Or just take a few minutes. If it's sunny and hot outside, you could even like go take this outside for a few minutes. But I think I'm just going to be careful so I don't smear my painting because this is where I can see it's shiny and wet. Excuse me.
Oh man, I got that lid off over there.
The next step is going to be taking in and adding some color to our turtle's body. This is going to be...
Oh no, I got blue on my photo.
That's okay, Haley. It'll cover up with the other stuff. So just do a light outline with a light green colored pencil. You can see how I did a little bit along the top of the head, a little at the bottom of the head, right here on the slipper that's tucked into the shell, some up by his neck. I'm going to add more on this flipper. I'm not coloring it in super solid. I want this to end up fairly light at first. And that will give me more room to create the other color. And very, very lightly with kind of the side of your lead, I'm just going to add a very, very faint bit of green to the shell. I set my pencil aside and I'm going to grab the yellow. And I'm going to do a little bit of yellow here on his flippers, his head. Body. Go. Now here is a picture of the one that you guys will see in your brochure. And
why does yours look so, well, different?
This one?
Because it's more brown.
We'll get there. We'll make it, that's the final step.
I don't think I want mine brown.
You don't want yours that brown? Well, you can choose a different color. So you guys can see how I kind of have some shapes going on in here. And this is going to be mostly yellow and green on the first layer. And then I'm going to put brown and dark green on top of mine. Haley might choose a different color.
Could you please put in some more hexagons around here?
Oh, Haley wants me to help speed her up for a few more hexagons and shapes.
Not on that top one though, just like around it.
Normally I would make her do this, but for the timeliness of the video, I'm gonna warp speed us here. Some help, right, Haley? Because,
and this one is pretty hard.
So then when we have this all lightly colored in, we are going to very, very lightly, we do not want a whole lot of water here. We're going to go in and blend this as well. Staying in your lines. This is the point where you want to make sure that your first layer was nice and dry. Your blue outer layer, I should say, because if your blue is damp and you come in with a lot of water for this layer, it will bleed outward and make a tie-dyed effect, okay? Which sometimes is a wonderful effect in what you want to have happen. In this case, I want it to be a little more illustrative and not bleed out like that. You can go ahead and cover over where your turtle's eye is, because we're going to come in and bring some more color there with a darker color later.
Well, that dries. I guess I'll just color on my turtle.
Yep, while that dries, color your turtle. Try not to smear this part of your hand too much in it, okay, Haley? Keep your hand kind of lifted so you don't smear it.
You have to stay in the outline of the hexagons. I wouldn't mean like outside scale of this set.
Nope, you can go gently over the whole thing because you want to just blend it to be one big wash of color right now. And then we'll come back in with the details.
Oh. This is really hard. The paper seems dry when it's not smelling really good.
Oh, add a little bit more water to your brush if it feels a little dry, okay?
It's like those really dry plants that really make me get that way for us.
Oh, Haley doesn't like the sound of the crayons that scratched or like the chalk on a chalkboard. It gives you shivers.
No,
here,
I think dry crayons.
Try it and do it a little more up and down. So Haley was doing it real sideways. Try and go a little more up and down, okay? See if that helps with that sound. Okay, so I'm letting mine dry a little bit more. And we're going to talk about the pattern on a tortoise's shell. So for this next step...
I thought you were doing a tortoise.
Oh, I did say tortoise, didn't I? We want turtle. You're going to do a few different things here. I think I said to do the eyeball next in the video, or in the instructions. So I'm going to take my water and my pencil, and I'm just going to dip very, very carefully the tip of it in the water. I don't want to soak it for very long. This will soften the pencil because they are water soluble. Oh, no, get it out. That's too long.
What?
Yeah, you just go like this and barely touch it, okay? And then when you go to draw, it's going to be soft and make a very rich color, okay? So I just colored my turtle's eyeball in. I'm going to continue doing that method. I'm going to dip that, and I'm going to draw some little hexagons and squares and things around his head. A few bigger ones up here. You can see on here where I did some big ones and then some polka dots. Some big ones on the back side of the flipper and polka dots farther back. So we want to kind of emulate that same look. I'll move this so that we don't block it. So back here we have some bigger pieces. You don't have to be super precise with this, or you can be super precise. Either way works, whichever you feel like doing right now. I'm going to soften it after every couple of strokes. Ooh, that one kind of turned into a flower. I like that. Right here. And then
I think I'm gonna do spots on my door.
You're gonna do spots? Okay. I'm gonna put a few spots here. I'm gonna come to this flipper and make some hexagons and squares and little five-sided things. Pentagons.
Oh, this is hard. I'm trying to get the eyeball just blue.
Oh, if you guys get a point where you have a little bit too much color on, you can take your wet brush and kind of scrub over the paper a little bit.
Yeah.
And it starts to lift up the pigment. Don't do it too long, or you can start filling up and making the fibers of the paper turn into little balls, and that's not really the greatest. I'm going to turn my paper just a little bit because Haley and I are in a tight quarters here.
Oh, now I just made my eyeball disappear.
Don't worry, you can bring it back. Let it dry.
And now I just have that real blue spot.
So Haley has a funny spot here now where she rubbed enough. Let me hold it up high.
Now like my markers are really like weirdly soft. Like they were just like super soft. Ow.
Oh, because you dipped them in water? Yeah. You got to be careful and not over dip your pencils or they get really soggy.
But I didn't do blue.
But here she kind of rubbed to where she erased a lot of what she had happening for the eyeball of her turtle. We're going to let that dry and then we'll go back and fix it, okay? So if you have an area where you feel like it's a little too wet.
I'll be back. I'm just grabbing a snack while that dries.
Oh, she's going to go grab a snack while I continue. Okay, so now that we have these shapes going in, I'm going to actually dry my pencil off because it is very soggy. And then now that my pencil is dry, I'm going to sharpen it. Don't put it in here wet or you'll make a mistake. It'll like gum up your pencil sharpener. Hold on, it's going to be noisy for just a second. Whew, nice and sharp. So now that I have a sharper point, you don't have to get it to this sharp, but I'm going to take, now that it's a little bit sharper, and carefully go in just a little bit of distance from my pencil lines. And I'm going to kind of I don't want to say trace it because it's off to the side. I'm drawing it parallel shape to it. See, Haley?
Yeah.
Let it dry a little bit more, okay, before you go into the eyeball. Work on his shell for a while.
I can't hardly see your eye.
Well, my eye is a little bit hard to see right now, but it's not finished. We'll go back. So here we go, and I am making parallel shapes within each of these geometric shapes. We're going to build up many layers on here. When you're doing a lot of watercolor applications with a palette of watercolor, you don't necessarily build up as many times as we are on this. This is just a technique that I really enjoy doing. And I think that you guys will as well. Come in here, and you're just going to kind of work it around as you re-outline. This takes a little bit of practice. Don't set your hand where it's really wet or else make a smudge.
It's pretty dry now.
It's pretty warm in our office, in our house right now, so it's drying quickly, huh?
Okay. I'm not gonna retrace this out now.
Okay. What are you doing?
I'm just doing this so then I have like outline.
Oh. Dipping it in makes it kind of have almost like a super soft gel crayon filling, huh? Have you guys played with gel crayons?
I have.
Haley and I enjoy them. Leave us a comment in the comment section or go on to the Zooms or our Flipgrid, and you guys can leave us questions. You can ask us You can ask us questions or put comments, and definitely you guys can go in there and share your artwork with us.
Gel crayons.
Oh, here are some gel crayons Haley pulled out. This is what I'm talking about. They're super soft. When you color with them, they feel like lipstick. A few more dots on his foot because I forgot to put some there earlier. And now that I have all these outlines, I'm going to start making kind of I don't know what the word is I want. Not exactly tie-dyed because it was all brown, but the turtle picture that I looked at had these really cool lines like this in his shell. And then there was some green coming from the opposite direction, but you leave a little bit of it in the middle where you still see that first layer of light greenish yellow. We don't want to completely fill that in. Just a little bit, kind of almost like you're doing a shadow on one side of the shell. But on this particular shell, it wasn't really a shadow so much as the pattern on it. Okay. So I have that. I'm going to put a little brown in this spot. Now I'm going to take my dark green. You have two greens. You have a light green and a dark green. Pick the darker one if you're following me step by step. But if you are choosing to make it your own color combination, you can do your own thing.
You can color in the eye for me.
Oh, how about I redraw it and you color it?
I don't know what color I want to do it though.
Well, blue wasn't a bad choice, but turtles' eyes are often brown or black. But it's your turtle, so you can make it be whatever you want.
I like the color blue.
Okay, and here I am putting just a little bit of green, dark green right here towards the bottom edges. I'm making sure I'm not covering up all my light green. My light yellow green was there on purpose.
They all gave me some little eyelashes.
Oh, cute. Haley says little eyelashes. I don't think turtles really have eyelashes in real life.
No,
but it is pretty adorable on a piece of art.
Yeah. I most do this for fun.
Well, good. Art should be. So there we have this. I'm pretty happy with it right here. I could stop and be happy. But I am going to show you guys what you can do to add a little more depth. I'm going to very, very lightly dampen my paintbrush. I'm again using my broader one. And I'm just going to kind of do a few really broad strokes over his shell. This is just going to blend it and smooth it out a tiny bit.
This is pretty dry now, so I'm going to add some more.
I'm going to blot a little color off here. There. I like how that looks for his shell. Darken this edge. And now I'm going to take my round brush, which I don't think I've used my round brush yet, have I? I'm going to take my round brush.
I wouldn't really say round, but it is kind of more pointed.
Yeah, this is considered round though. I'm going to go in and I'm just going to kind of lightly scoop some water across it and blend in some of these squares and shapes that I did at first. And you can see how when I just take one gentle pass around on there, it starts to give the turtle, it's not erasing my polka dots and dots because I'm not doing it, I'm not scrubbing hard, but it is
lightly kind of smearing it.
I'm just kind of, yeah, I'm scooting the water a little bit.
Ooh, I like how you're back with that.
Thank you.
Very realistic.
Oh, perfect. That was my goal. And I have not touched up his eye yet, you guys. His eye doesn't have any extra oomph to it. So I'm going to take my sharp black pencil and I'm going to add a little bit of black right there. And while that's drying, I might just add a little bit to his mouth, a little bit here. You guys don't have to add extra if you don't want to. I am just adding a bit because I have those really bold lines from drawing harder so that you guys could see it on the camera. I'm just going to touch them up a little bit and make them look a little more intentional.
Yeah, that soft wasn't really good.
Oh, be gentle erasing it, otherwise you'll start killing your paper. If you guys wanted, you could trace around the whole thing with a pencil. You could just highlight a few areas. If you wanted it to look like a book from, or a picture from a storybook, you could also use some Sharpie to make some of it pop. We're just going to make a few little lines here. Make this shell. This will create a little bit of depth because on a real turtle or tortoise shell, both of them, when you fill their shell, they're not flat and smooth like a dinner plate. They have kind of plates and texture, right? Very nice, kiddo. So, am I leaning so far forward? Oh, you guys can see my head. Okay. I'll try not to block it. And then my very last step is I'm going to sharpen my pencil real quick. Hold on. I'm going to get the end of my white pencil damp. My eyeball is dry from where I put the black dot, and I'm just going to put a teeniest little white dot there. Haley, can you see that? I put a little dot there like the light is reflecting on its eye. There you go. You guys could add a little bit of white on its shell if you want to add some highlights through here. Ooh, I like it, kiddo. Here's Haley's. What is that little guy saying? Hi. Hi. Look right here. You see him talking? He has a little speech bubble and everything. I'm going to add some highlights right through the middle of my sea turtle shell. You can be done if you would like. Thank you for joining me, Haley. And here we go. I think that brings a good end to our turtle. I hope you guys had fun with this. I'm going to hold it up a little bit. There's my sea turtle. And as you can see, because I did not tape it so that I could move it around, it's curling a little bit because there was a lot more water in the center of my page, which is making the fiber shrink differently. So in this case, I'm going to let it dry to where enough that I don't see puddles on it. And then I will take and stick it under some heavy, heavy books in my office. Make sure that you guys have asked permission from your adult if you can use which books, because I don't want you to grab like a super important book and then have paint transfer on it. You can also put it between, like put a sheet of plain printer paper over it before you stack it, and that will also help reduce the risk of it smearing it all. I just added a little bit of yellow to my seaweed because it was looking a little dark over there. A little more to my turtle. I want him to have a few more highlights now that I look at it. There we go. Here is here's my turtle. Oh, Dad took a picture? Okay. We're back on camera, kiddo. Here is my finished project. I hope you guys had a wonderful time joining me with our Art2GO sea turtle kit for our Gallery 1. Please join us on Flipgrid using the information that came in your kit with the code. to get into our special classroom where you can leave me a video and show me your artwork or ask any questions that you have. If you had a problem or a technique didn't work, and we can help you problem solve it there. I'm saying we because the other instructors for the other kits will also see it, and we would love to say hi to you. We miss seeing you guys in the classroom on the 3rd floor at Gallery 1, and hopefully we'll be able to be together soon. But in the meantime, let's make use of our technology and stay connected. Have a wonderful day, keep creating art, and take care. Bye.